Hi, I'm Andrews Wikum, and I'm here with Ethan Tunstall. We're the co-creators of the app StockUp. StockUp is a stock price and financial news app that uses the IEX Trading Financial API to get live stock market data. The core of our app is 3 separate calls to the IEX API, so most of our code is meant to just retrieve, parse, and format stock data for the UI. As you can see, we have an entire library dedicated simply to parsing JSON data and formatting it for our UI. But before I dive into the code, I'd like to turn it over to Ethan so he can talk a little bit about our UI.
The UI for StockUp is made up of 2 fragments. One for general stock data, which can be seen on the page right here. And these stocks are updated every minute or so, showing the top competitors on the home page. We have a second activity for the latest financial news. And we have a third activity that can be accessed by either clicking the desired stock or searching it in the bar. But for demonstration purposes, we're going to click on Google's name, and we can see their data output in a chart here that shows 1 day, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, and 5 years of data. Below this, we have data such as the latest price, the latest time, open and closing prices, highs and lows, and etc. Now we're going to go a little bit more in depth on the features of our app. So first, if we go back to our home page, we have an autocomplete search bar with 7,000 entries pulled from our API, so we can search Amazon stock. And if we click on Amazon's name, we'll be brought to their individual company page with all the data that I previously stated before. Now we could take a look at the refresh feature. So on our home stock page, we can refresh, and this data will be refreshed about every minute or so. And this also works for the news page. So that was the demo of our app, and now I'm going to give it over to Anders to run through our code quickly.
Okay, so here's a quick overview of the code that we put together. So in our main activity Java class, we have some code that creates the fragments and allows you to swipe between the screens for news and stocks. We also have a news Java class, which does a news API call on create, which populates all of the text boxes that you see. And we have the same thing in stocks. It's got a really extensive on create. It's got a lot of symbols to populate and a lot of parsing to do. We also have the stock activity, which implements an external library that does chart data. So we parse the data that we get from the API call within this activity, and we put it into that chart data library, and it allows us to plot a chart. We also have a singleton class to handle the fact that we have 3 different classes that use request queue. So this empties out and refreshes the request queue every time that we have to make a new API call.
To take a step back, I'm going to talk about why we originally did the project. Personally, I look at my stock app on my phone a few times every week, and I don't exactly care for the interface that's on there right now. So we thought it would be fun and challenging to create a stock app of our own. And when we found the IEX Financial Data API, it seemed like a great use of information that we could implement into our own app.
The workload in our project was pretty evenly split between data manipulation and UI components. So Ethan created the fragment views for our app. He also added the extra activity. He did a lot of the UI formatting, and he did the data storage for our company list. Meanwhile, I handled the intents, the autocomplete text box, a lot of our charting, some data parsing and formatting, and just really linking everything together. And we accomplished that by pushing to a shared repository on GitHub, which you can see here.
So the big technical problem we ran into was with our string array that populates our autocomplete search bar. And we have 7,000 stock entries, so that was too long for the stocks.java file. So we had to move it into the strings.xml file, and it reads it directly from there.
Looking forward, some of the improvements that we'd like to make on the app include a My Stocks fragment page that would have stocks that you can select yourself and track. And at the same time, we'd also like to have industry competitor data for each of these individual company datas, just so that you can see how they stack up.